This is what our jar looks like before we make fog. You can see the candle through the jar. Now Holly is swishing hot water in the jar to warm it up. This is our jar, which is like the San Joaquin Valley, kind of a warm place. Holly's warming up the jar. Okay, this is called making fog in a jar. Go ahead and warm up the jar with warm water. We learned today that warm water holds more moisture than cold water. No, you need more than that. Put the rest of it in there. Yeah, so we're warming up the jar. We're putting warm water in it. Thanks for moving that. We're putting warm water in the jar and we're warming up the jar so that the temperature of the air inside the jar will be, you know, pretty good. And now we're going to dump it out, and we need to make some smoke in the jar so some particles will, here, go ahead. We're going to make some smoke in the jar, so turn that jar upside down, Brea, because we need to catch the smoke inside the jar. Okay, let the candle, turn it the other way so you want a good burn on it.
Yeah, turn it like sideways. Sideways. The other way.
Yeah, there you go. And now blow it out and let it capture the smoke. Okay, we're going to capture some of the smoke inside the jar. Not a lot, but a little bit. And then as soon as we flip it over, we're going to put a cold pie pan. Be careful because it's kind of slippery. Now, the pie pan is full of ice and rock salt, so it's very, very cold. Now, what you should notice is that the air inside the jar, which was warm, is now cooling off very quickly. And as it loses heat, it will lose its ability to hold moisture, and the moisture should begin to attach itself to the smoke particles in the jar. Can you see that that's happening?
Do you need the camera or the candle?
I think it is happening. Yeah, get the candle and put it on the other side. You can see that the jar has become cloudy or foggy inside. In fact, you can't look there. Aaron just reached behind it. Oh yeah, you can see it better that way. Bring that black piece of paper. So, oh yeah, see how the candle's sitting behind the jar now, and you can't. You can really tell that the jar is fogged up. There you go. Oh yeah, you can really see it. Now, with the black paper behind, you can really see it better. You can see the fog forming. You can see that where the cold air, where the air is cooling near where the pie pan is, there's a lot of fog forming inside the jar. Now, in Bakersfield, when it's foggy, in the morning when it's cold, the fog disappears as the air grows warmer. The air regains its ability to hold more moisture. The moisture goes back into the air, and the fog dissipates. So, we warmed up the jar, and we put some smoke into the jar, just a little bit. And now we have a pan full of ice on top of the jar. So all the warm air inside the jar is cooling near the top, and you can see the fog forming near the top of the jar. Because remember, warm air holds more moisture than cold air. So as the air cools, the moisture attaches itself to the smoke particles and forms fog. Inside this bowl we have salt water. Actually, we have a lot of ice that we poured rock salt on, so the freezing temperature of the water lowered, and the ice began to melt very quickly, and the temperature of the water and the ice inside the bowl is very low, below freezing. If you look at the outside of this bowl, you can see that frost is forming on the outside of the bowl because the condensation on the outside of the bowl is frozen. And we have inside the bowl is a bottle of fresh water. Actually, it's not a whole bottle full, but Heather's going to pull the bottle out and show you that the fresh water inside the salt water is freezing. Hold that up a little bit higher away from the bowl. A little higher, a little higher. You can now move it around a little bit. You can see that the water inside of this bottle is freezing. You can see frost patterns on the bottle, even though it's sitting down inside of salt water that is melting. Go ahead and stick it back down in there. kind of an amazing phenomenon. But we learned today that salt water and fresh water have 2 different freezing temperatures. Yeah, if you look, you can really see the frost pattern on the inside of this bottle of fresh water, and you can see that in about a half an hour that it's been sitting down in that salt water, it's really started to freeze. It's very slushy now. Yeah, it's 1 hour later, and all the fresh water inside of this bottle is now frozen. See, there's nothing, I don't think there's any liquid in there at all. And it's still down inside, it's done that down inside this bucket of salted ice water.